Ka-chow, it's poppin' YouTube. So here we are, part 3 of my villain deep dive into the Cybermen. We finished up with the classic series and now we are taking on the revival, starting with Russell T Davies' technically now first era of the show. So the Cybermen did not make an appearance in the 9th Doctor's run, although one of their heads did show up in Van Statten's museum in the episode Dalek.
Oh, look at you.
Presumably salvaged from the events of the invasion, this Cyberman is contained behind glass in Van Statten's Alien Museum. But this Cyberman head actually features the head gun, which means it's from Revenge of the Cybermen, which doesn't make much sense, but this is probably just a little production error because the head's only difference was that in Revenge they had the head gun and in the Invasion they did not. But anyway, the Cybermen's first real appearance in the revival was in Season 2 with the absolute blockbuster event of Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel. So the Cybermen made their first appearance in the revival in Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel two-parter. The story saw the Doctor, Rose and Mickey fall through a hole in the time vortex and wind up in a parallel version of Earth, except where Mickey is Ricky, Pete Tyler is still alive, and everyone has a weird Zeppelin fetish.
And that includes the Zeppelins?
What the hell?
It's beautiful.
Okay, so it's London with a big international Zeppelin festival.
So in this universe, a company called Cybermen Industries is the reason the Cybermen are created. There is no Mondas this time, they just get started right on Earth. Basically, Cybermen Industries is a global tech company that has revolutionized the world. They have made every piece of technology compatible with everything else, including these earpods that everybody wears. This allows people to get information and the like directly streamed into their brains. It also allows Cybermen Industries to remotely take control of people. But anyway. So the Cybermen Industries is off kidnapping homeless people and doing experiments on them to create Cybermen.
Take them away.
And the Cybermen have had quite the radical redesign to bring them into the 21st century. They are now towering colossi in suits of metal armour that actually looks like metal, as opposed to dudes in spandex or tinfoil costumes. They keep the teardrop eyes and the handlebars, but have become almost completely mechanical like military-grade suits of armour. They are plodding and relentless and completely emotionless, and they make these big stampy sounds when they walk. They keep the electric grip, but have a few different design features. In this world, because a tech company created them, they have a big Cybermen Industries logo imprinted on their chests. They also have new voices, which are a big step up from the 70s and 80s, but in my opinion are quite inferior to the very early 60s voices. Tomb of the Cybermen, I still think, has the best Cyberman voice ever. There are also a few notable changes made to them that have not aged very well, in my opinion. It is very obvious that the writers were attempting to brand the Cybermen like the Daleks, given the Daleks' major success in Season 1. There are a few notable similarities. The first is quite superficial and very cringe in retrospect. Instead of having the Daleks' mantra of exterminate, 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 now the Cybermen say delete, delete, delete. Get it? They're just like computers. And this keeps up for all of the Russell T Davies run and gets slowly phased out in the Moffat era, thankfully. The second and more obvious one is the inclusion of John Lumick. Lumick is this cartoon villain of a character that is the architect of the Cybermen. He's a genius tech billionaire that is crippled and dying of a mysterious illness. The Cybermen project is his brainchild so he can survive. Basically, he developed a way to preserve the human brain outside of the body and put it into the suit of Cyberman armour. However, Lumick is this guy who was stuck in a life support wheelchair and made an iconic Doctor Who villain. Guys? Is that Davros? Yeah, so this is an obvious attempt to turn the Cybermen into the Daleks, sort of, by shoehorning in a Davros for them. But let me tell you, this guy has some banger one-liners.
Well, it's irresistible. Then resist.
Anyway, Lumick wants to roll out the Cyberman technology, branding it as the ultimate upgrade, but to be honest, it looks kind of shit. Why would I give up human life to plod around in a shitty slow suit of armour? Anyway, so he talks to the President of England, because it's a parallel world, remember, and he wants his A-OK, but the Chad says no, fuck off, so Lumick decides to go through with it anyway.
Did we get permission?
I am governed by greater laws, old friend. The right of a man to survive. Now begin!
So meanwhile, Mickey gets caught up with this band of sick hacker rebels called the Preachers, and they're going to fight the surveillance state and hack in and fight for the will of the people. And so, yeah, anyway, the preachers are 3 people: Mrs. Moore, Jake, and Ricky, who is this parallel version of Mickey if he's, tough as nails and a Chad. While this is going on, the Doctor and Rose have infiltrated Jackie Tyler's 40th birthday party because in this world Peter's alive and a millionaire, and so he's having a big party for his wife. However, the marriage isn't going too well, and Rose doesn't exist in this world, but Rose wants to see Daddy-O. However, because Pete has been working with Lumic, the president is at the party, and so Lumic attacks it with his proto-Cybermen, who, try to get everybody to upgrade.
We have been upgraded.
Into what?
The next level of mankind. We are human point 2. Every citizen will receive a free upgrade.
However, the Chad president tells them to fuck off, so they just start, indiscriminately killing everyone at the function for some reason.
What if I refuse?
I'm telling you, don't.
What happens if I refuse?
Then you are not compatible.
What happens then?
You will be deleted.
I mean, only he declined it. You're just wasting people that you could just turn into Cybermen, but okay, whatever. So the Doctor, Pete, and Rose escape and run into the preachers. They then get surrounded by Cybermen.
We're surrounded.
Put the guns down, bullets won't stop them.
But the Doctor uses this bullshit TARDIS power cell thingy to just kill them all and they get away. It then turns out that Pete has been sending the preachers information on Lumic the whole time, and but he thought that the preachers were actual law enforcement, and then, they're just 3 epic hackers. So anyway, Lumic then takes over London by transmitting a signal from this big Zeppelin thing that takes control of everybody using their earpods and gets them to march towards the Cyber Factory to be turned into Cybermen. Get it, guys? It's social commentary. So the streets are crawling with Cybermen who are trying to, kill the Doctor and co, and all this stuff is really cool, except disaster strikes when Ricky gets killed by a Cyberman. So they regroup and realise that they need to blow up Lumic's Zeppelin to stop the signal from being broadcast. The Zeppelin is sitting on top of his factory, conveniently, and so they split up into neat little groups of 2 to take out the Cybermen. Mickey and Jake go to take out the Zeppelin, the Doctor and Mrs. Moore go through these cooling tunnels to sneak into the factory to see if there's a way to stop the Cybermen, and Pete and Rose sneak in through the front door pretending to be earpod zombies so Pete can try and find Jackie. In the meantime, one of Lumic's flunkies, this guy called Mr. Crane, tries to kill him. The Cybermen protect their creator, but then forcibly convert John Lumic into the Cyber Controller, but we'll get back to that in a minute. So the Doctor and Mrs. Moore go through the tunnels, being chased by Cybermen, and Mrs. Moore manages to take out a Cyberman with an EMP.
You are not upgraded.
Yeah, well, upgrade this.
We then get this heartbreaking scene where the Cyberman becomes self-aware and it is revealed that this is a woman on her wedding night. Although, trivia fact here, in the original version of the script, this Cyberman was actually supposed to be a child, but they changed it because they thought it was, too grim for 7 o'clock Saturday night family TV, which is fair.
Why so cold?
Can you remember your name?
Certainly Phelan.
The Doctor then opens up the downed Cyberman and learns that the suits have a nervous system and that they have an emotional inhibitor that prevents them from feeling anything. Mrs. Moore's EMP has disabled this one, which is how the woman woke up and, became aware of what she was.
Emotional inhibitor. Stops them feeling anything.
Why?
Still got a human brain. Imagine its reaction if it could see itself, realise itself inside this thing.
Mrs. Moore then gets killed by the world's sneakiest Cyberman, who somehow snuck up behind them, despite the fact that, up until now, every time one of them took a step, it was like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, but anyway.
No, you didn't have to kill her!
The Cybermen then recognise the Doctor as an alien and take him off to meet the Cyber Controller. Meanwhile, Peter and Rose find a Cyberman that says it used to be Jackie, and takes them off to meet the Cyber Controller as well. Mickey and Jake get on board the Zeppelin, but find that the controls are locked. They also find a deactivated Cyberman in there, which comes to life and tries to kill them. However, Mickey manages to bait it into destroying the transmitter controls and turns off the death earpods. So the Doctor and co then meet Mr. Lumic, who is now the cyber controller, in, a case of irony that I'm not sure was intended, but anyway, Lumic, even as a Cyberman, is hooked up to this massive throne.
I will bring peace to the world. Everlasting peace.
And unity. And uniformity.
He has glowing eyes and his brain is showing through his head for some reason, and he announces that he will now take the world by force with the Cyberman he already has. He and the Doctor have a great discussion about the nature of life.
I'm the Doctor.
A redundant title. Doctors need not exist. Cybermen never sicken.
Yeah, but that's it. That's exactly the point.
Oh, Lumic, you're a clever man. I call you a genius, except I'm the room.
And then, because Mickey can see into the control room using CCTV, he and the Doctor manage to find the code that cancels out the Cyberman emotional inhibitors. Mickey hacks into it, and the Doctor sends it through the system, which turns off the emotional inhibitor.
Knows how to get past firewalls and passwords. Knows how to find something encrypted in the Lumic family database. Under, what was it, Pete? Binary what?
Binary 9.
Binary 9. An idiot can find that code. Cancellation code.
The phone.
You will be deleted.
Yes, delete, control, hash, all those lovely buttons. Then, of course, my particular favourite, send. And let's not forget how you seduced all those ordinary people in the first place. And making every bit of technology compatible with everything else.
This scene is also kind of heartbreaking. The Cybermen all wake up to what's been done to them, and they start to die.
I'm sorry.
And then the factory starts to blow up for some unknown reason as well. So Pete, Rose and the Doctor try to escape, but the factory has, spontaneously combusted, so they have to go to the roof aboard the Zeppelin that Mickey and Jake have commandeered.
You've got to kill it! Bro, get up!
They get on this rickety rope ladder and begin to leg it, but then the cyber controller catches up to them, despite the fact these guys move at like 1 mile an hour, but anyway. He's climbing after them, and Pete uses a sonic screwdriver to avenge his wife, and because it can somehow snap the rope, and the cyber controller falls to his death.
Jackie Tyler! This is for her!
Mickey then chooses to complete his character arc and stay behind in the parallel world to take care of his gran, who is already dead in our version of the universe, but in this version she's still alive, and Rose and the Doctor leave. So this episode was huge when it came out. We got this really cool Flash game where you were flying a Zeppelin around Paris trying to save people. But anyway, I think that this is a really good two-parter. It plays like a full-on action blockbuster, and I learned later in life that people don't really like these episodes, and while I'm not a huge fan of the Cybermen over the Mondasians, I do think it is a very unique angle to take the Cybermen in. I like a lot of the social commentary about technology, and this is probably the best Cyberman design we've ever had. Lumic is a bit silly, along with the delete catchphrase, but the body horror is really good here. Unlike previous Cybermen, the Cybermen here are completely mechanical, but it is revealed that the process of turning somebody into a Cyberman involves, cutting their brain out with this big saw thing and then placing it inside the suit of armour. So this is one of the few episodes, in my opinion, to ever really get the Cybermen right. They are tragic villains, and this really plays up the body horror. I know the design is completely mechanical, but that doesn't matter here. The concept of forcibly taking out someone's brain and locking it away inside an emotionless armour is horrifying. I mean, I think most of us would rather just be killed. Now, this story does borrow heavily from The Invasion. We get a lot of callbacks and direct homages. The tech company working with the Cybermen, the signal being transmitted through the tech to stun everyone. We get Cybermen in the sewers, kind of. The name of the dummy van that the Cybers Industries uses to kidnap homeless people is the same as the company from The Invasion, and the Cybermen going crazy when they can feel emotions is also directly taken from The Invasion. Even Lumic's design of the cyber controller on the throne was initially planned to feature in The Invasion, but got cut for budget reasons and was replaced with a cyber planner. Overall, a solid 2 episodes with the Cybermen, and effectively brought the villains into the modern age. And we did not have to wait long to see the Cybermen again. They showed up still in Season 2 of the relaunch in the 2-part finale, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. So this episode also came out in 2006, with David Tennant still as the Doctor. So the Doctor and Rose show back up on Earth to catch up with Jackie, when they learn that the whole world has ghost shifts now.
They're everywhere.
Alex, you play what? Doctor, look out!
Basically, at certain points during the day, ghosts will just appear all over the world. So it turns out that this organisation called Torchwood is behind this whole thing. This was started up by Queen Victoria after the whole werewolf situation earlier on in the season, and the Doctor, Jackie and Rose get roped into their little ghost plan. Basically, high above London is a tear in reality. Torchwood built Canary Wharf to go and, investigate it, and when they did so, this spooky sphere popped out. Basically, the sphere is a Dalek void ship, but they don't know that yet. It gives off no weight or radiation or mass or any life signs or signs of existence at all. And after they did that, the ghosts started showing up. Torchwood wants to use the breach to harness energy so that Britain can be truly independent, and the whole operation is, headed up by Brexit Queen Yvonne Hartman. So meanwhile, the Cybermen have been sneaking around inside Torchwood because a small group of them managed to come through the initial breach and start setting up conversion chambers in the building. And they've been turning personnel into vessels for them, using earpods. So the Doctor manages to get Torchwood to stop with the ghost shifts, but unfortunately the Cybermen get their flunkies to continue anyway, so the breach will open and they can hop from the parallel world into ours fully. The Doctor tracks the Cybermen infiltrators to an under construction part of the skyscraper, and we get this really good homage to Tomb of the Cybermen.
Cybermen.
So the Cybermen then just take over Torchwood Tower by force and get them to open the breach completely, allowing millions of Cybermen to materialise across the world.
The ghost shift will be increased to 100%.
So the Cybermen take over the world, but before they can really celebrate, the Daleks come out of their void ship.
That's not Cybermen.
Oh my god.
Location Earth. Life forms detected. Exterminate. 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 Exterminate.
And we get some cool scenes of the humans fighting the invading Cybermen, where we get another callback to the invasion, with bazookas being the only thing that can kill the Cybermen. The Daleks are trying to open this Genesis Ark thing that they have, which is a prison ship from the Time War that contains millions of Daleks. The Cybermen try to get an alliance with the Daleks, which are an elite squad called the Cult of Skaro. However, the Daleks decline, and we get treated to the bitch fight of Canary Wharf.
The Cybermen are superior in only one respect.
What is that?
You are better at dying.
How long did you spend in your sphere thinking that one up?
It is not a sphere.
So the Cybermen end up having to team up with the humans to try and fight the Daleks, but they are completely outmatched. The Cybermen's weapons are completely ineffective against the Daleks, and they all get one shot. So yeah, they're not in a great spot. And I know some people find this annoying, that the Daleks vs Cyberman episode isn't really a contest, but to be fair, the Daleks, especially in the RTD era, but even across the whole all of Doctor Who, have very high technology levels, and these Cybermen especially are made with effectively slightly futuristic Earth technology, but that's really it. So with their invasion plan gone to shit and getting completely upstaged with the Daleks, the Cybermen attempt to reclaim their old world, but before they can do that, the Doctor opens up the Void Breach in reverse, which sucks in all the Daleks and Cybermen and traps them in the void between universes.
We will Retreat through the breach. Regain the home world.
So a few notes here. There is a minor redesign of the Cybermen, kind of. So the Cybermen now feature guns that slide out of their wrists and shoot little laser bolts. This isn't technically a redesign because there is actually a scene in Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel, I think it's in Age of Steel, where you see some newly made Cybermen step out of the conversion chamber, and they do have the 3D models of them do have the guns on their wrists. This is clearly just because the 3D models made for Doomsday are supposed to have the guns, whereas no Cyberman ever actually uses that in Age of Steel. But anyway, they also activate these guns by sort of pressing their hand against their chest, which is a callback to the head guns from Revenge of the Cybermen. We also get a Cyber Leader this time, who has kept the black handlebar design, which is cool. However, this as a Cyberman story is a bit of a mixed bag. Army of Ghosts is a great build-up, but they then get completely upstaged by the Daleks and are no match for the Cult of Skaro and their Dalek army. A few other things. Yvonne does get converted into a Cyberman here, but she somehow overcomes the programming and actually kills the Cyber Leader and his vanguard as they are attempting to jump ship back to their world.
You will not pass.
What is the meaning of this?
You will not pass.
There is one thing though that the show doesn't really talk about at all. And that is the morality of sending the Cybermen into the void. This seems like it should have been a bigger deal than it actually ended up getting treated as, and I understand that the episode itself was kind of pressed for time at the end. The Daleks are just pure evil, I understand that, but the Doctor describes the void as being hell, and so he's condemning all these millions of Cybermen to hell, which, yeah, they tried to conquer the world and all that, except these are just normal people who were forcibly transformed into Cybermen. They had no choice. Does the Doctor have the moral right to condemn effectively millions of innocent people to hell? Like, I realise that the Cybermen won't really be able to experience that much as they have no emotions, but here's the thing. Yvonne will. She'll be completely conscious in the void, because she's in a cyber suit, so therefore she got sucked into the void, right? It just feels like there should have been a bigger moral question than it was treated as, especially when you realise that the Cybermen were helping the humans to fight the Daleks too. I really feel like the Doctor should have attempted to negotiate with these Cybermen and just get them their own planet or something like that. Right? Like, it should have been a bigger moral question than the episode treats it as. But anyway, that's my personal thoughts on that. Also, I mean, let's be honest, it was the Dalek vs. Cybermen episode. What more can I say about this one? This was the coolest shit when I was like 7 when this came out, and that was it for a while for the Cybermen. They took season 3 off and only came back one more time in the RTD era, in the Christmas special, The Next Doctor. So this story aired on Christmas in 2008, I believe. It followed up the blockbuster series finale, Stolen Earth and Journey's End, which saw the Daleks attempt to end the entire universe, and basically an Avengers team-up of Doctor Who, Sarah Jane Adventures, and Torchwood. So during those events, the Daleks' reality bomb managed to weaken the walls of the universes, and a group of Cybermen escaped the void and found themselves in Victorian London. Somehow this group survived the Daleks that were trapped with them in the void, and the Doctor says that the reality bomb somehow killed everything in the void despite it not actually happening, but I digress. So basically the Cybermen managed to steal a bit of Dalek technology and wound up in Victorian London. Meanwhile, the 10th Doctor, who was about to begin his midlife crisis, ends up here too and meets a man who claims to be the Doctor, complete with a rose, a TARDIS, and a sonic screwdriver, kind of. This Doctor is fighting the Cybermen, but he seems to have no memory of the 10th Doctor himself. So as the mystery unravels as to who this guy actually is, the Cybermen are up to no good. They are working with this feminist lady who is all oppressed by the Victorian era, and her name is like Miss Hartigan, I think, and they take control of a bunch of Oliver Twist houses and put the children to work building something they call the Cyber King. This time the Cybermen are led by this spiffy new cyber leader who was called the Cyber Lord in the marketing, and he has a really great design. even if it makes very little sense. Basically, he keeps the black handlebars, but then he has this like black bit on his faceplate, and his brain is visible through the helmet. This is something that was noticed with the Cyber Controller. I don't really know why. The original Cyber Controllers had an elongated head to show they had like a big brain or something. But anyway, they also have these weird cyber shade things, which look like Yetis with Cybermen masks, and what the fuck. Anyway, so the Doctor has a sword fight with the Cyberman, and then the mystery of the next Doctor is revealed.
You don't want to come near me when I got one of these. This is your last warning. Huh? Okay, this is really your last warning. Listen to me properly. Whatever you're doing, stuck in the 1950s, I can help. I mean it. I'm the only person in the world who can help you. Listen to me. I'm the Doctor.
Turns out he is actually a bloke called Jackson Lake, and he had a run-in with the Cybermen, where his wife was killed and his son was kidnapped. So he basically has PTSD and amnesia from that, and he happened to look into a Cyberman info stamp on the Doctor and got all the info beamed directly into his head, and so that's why he thinks he's the Doctor. However, the info stamp was damaged, and so that's why he's missing the 10th Doctor. So the Cybermen build this Cyber King thing, which is a huge steampunk Jaeger in the shape of a Cyberman, and it rises from the Thames to conquer London. The feminist woman, Miss Hartigan, gets installed as its brain, as she is super smart or something, but her mind is too powerful for the Cyberman programming, and when the Cyber Lord realises this, he attempts to remove her from the Cyber King, but she just kills him and takes over the Cybermen.
My mind is stronger than you ever thought. It dominates, sir. It dominates you.
Alert, you are operating beyond the standard parameters.
I am new. The might of your technology combined with my own imagination. Yes! There will be a new race of Cybermen, my Cybermen.
She then prepares to convert everyone in London into Cybermen, but the Doctor uses Jackson Lake's TARDIS, which is actually a hot air balloon, to fly up and destroy her emotional inhibitor thing. She freaks out and basically blows up, taking the Cybermen with her, and the Doctor uses a vortex gun thing to send the remains of the Cyber King into the time vortex so it doesn't fall onto London and kill everyone. The end.
Destroy him!
You make me into this. But look at what you've become. I'm so sorry. He's killed it! But whatever he did, he's killed it!
But it's gonna fall!
This episode is alright. It's just alright though. The Cyber Lord has a cool design, but other than that, it just feels like the Cybermen were not very well utilised. The Cyber Shades are just bizarre, and while the Cyber King is cool, they really could have played up the steampunk angle here. Like, come on, you had the Cybermen in Victorian London. You're telling me we couldn't have got steampunk Cybermen that they had been, converting with Victorian tech? That would have been really cool. But it's just a filler episode at the end of the day. You could replace the Cybermen with literally any other monster and this story barely changes. I just feel like they used the Cybermen here because they hadn't been in the show for a while, and it's easier to just have... And it's just easier to not have to explain a new monster to the audience and just include one people already know, so you can focus on the A-plot, which is like the Jackson Lake thing and the next Doctor and all that. And the Cybermen wouldn't appear again in the RTD era, so this marks it as probably their shortest era of the show. So the RTD Cybermen were very controversial at the time among the fandom, which I learned later, when as a kid I didn't really realise that, but giving them such a radical redesign was bold, but I personally really like them. The designs are fantastic, and they really managed to get the body horror aspect of the Cybermen back, which the classic series had really lost sight of towards the end. I mean, they are played, I guess except for Attack of the Cybermen, it's kind of still there for that, but... they're played a lot more seriously, and I think they really work. I also think that the Cybermen are the best design we've ever had in the revival of the show, and probably ever, actually. And the idea of them effectively being a brand is fantastic. The RTD era was very political, with a lot of social commentary, and these Cybermen really do lend themselves very well into this. On the weak side, I think that some design choices are really weird. The delete thing is a bit silly. I mean, when I was a kid, I assumed this was a carryover from the classic series, but it isn't. Just keep excellent as their catchphrase, you coward. But yeah, I recognise that the design was not at all organic, but these are conceptually some of the best Cybermen we've ever got. And they really managed to explain the Cybermen and modernise them for an entire new generation at the time. I don't think it was quite as good a modernisation as the Daleks got, at least in Season 1, but it's pretty close. It has to be one of the best rebrands of a Doctor Who villain we've ever had. So I quite like the RTD Cybermen. I know there's a lot of issues with them among the fandom, but I think divorcing them from Mondas allowed the writers to do some very interesting stuff with them and really turn them into their own creation in the modern era and not be weighed down by, you know, at the time, 40 years of Cyberman lore. So yeah, join me next time as we would tackle the Cybermen of the Moffat era, which is a much more interesting era for the Cybermen, and I'll have a lot to say on that. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe. I do have 2 previous parts, the 60s and the 70s and 80s Cybermen, so if you like the Cybermen, check that out. I also have an entire playlist of videos on the Daleks as well, and if you want to check out any of my writing, head over to my website where you can read some short stories of mine. I published my short story Colours the other week, which is all about AI, which is quite relevant to the RTD era Cybermen, and so yeah, it was previously published in a writing anthology in Canada, but now it's up for free online, so check it out, and thank you very much.